What if you got the power to pass through walls? This is exactly what happens to Kesha. This story revolves around a boy named Kesha who used to perform magic with his uncle. He lived in a rented room with his friend, and their landlady often demanded rent. Kesha's uncle would constantly scold him for not performing magic properly. In short, Kesha's life was quite miserable. But one night after a show, he saw a beautiful reporter named Alicia, and his eyes were glued to her. However, his uncle scolded him and chased him away. Later, Alicia met Kesha to talk about his magic because she was writing an article about magic. One day, Alicia came to watch their show with her boyfriend. Seeing Alicia with another guy broke Kesha's heart. He lost focus during his performance, and the whole show went haywire. Then his uncle called Alicia to perform a magic trick that involved sawing a person in half, but her boyfriend came up instead. Seeing him made Kesha feel even worse, and he almost cut him in half for real. His uncle took over the trick just in time. Later, due to his dangerous stupidity, his uncle fired him. However, Kesha believed that if there is a goalkeeper, does that mean you can't shoot the ball? He didn't care that Alicia had a boyfriend. He was determined to win her over. He thought if he were rich and handsome, Alicia would definitely be his, but he wasn't that lucky. He started secretly following Alicia and her boyfriend, but their house had very tight security. Feeling frustrated, Kesha sat down to smoke a cigarette. Suddenly, a beggar came and lit his cigarette, then asked for $20. In return, the beggar promised to grant one of Kesha's wishes. Kesha, feeling hopeless, didn't care what the beggar was saying and gave him $20. But at that moment, the beggar suddenly disappeared. Surprised, Kesha stood up and magically walked through a door. The next morning, his uncle called him back to work because he couldn't handle the show alone. Kesha woke up and didn't even notice the pile of dollars on the ground or that he was walking through doors. Then he heard on the news that there had been a bank robbery, and there was no sign of anyone entering. Kesha remembered what had happened the previous night. He was shocked to realize he had walked through the door. He thought it was all a dream and hit his head with a brick to check, but he didn't get hurt. It was clear that he had the superpower to pass through doors and walls. Accidentally, he ended up in a child's room who was sick. The child said he wanted to go to space and asked how Kesha had entered, but Kesha was only thinking about Alicia. He decided to use his power to go higher. Some people were making music, and others were trying to talk to spirits. He asked them for Alicia's address and walked through the wall, leaving one man fainting in shock. He reached Alicia's house, where she was with her boyfriend. Kesha made weird noises to scare them, and when that didn't work, he entered a painting and scared Alicia's boyfriend completely. Then he remembered robbing the bank after gaining his powers. His life had completely changed. He even bought an Audi and started living luxuriously. One day while driving, a policeman stopped him. He used his powers to tie the policeman's shoelaces and escaped. In the evening, the bank officials reached his house because he had left his name and address at the bank. They came to arrest him for theft. At that moment, the landlady and his friend arrived and informed him that the old house had weak gas pipes. But Kesha ignored them and lit the gas, causing a massive explosion. If Kesha hadn't used his powers to save everyone, they would have all burned to ashes. After that, Kesha and his friend moved into a big house. Now it was time for Kesha to enjoy life by meeting other girls, but as soon as he took off his socks, he fell from the building in one go. Since Kesha had saved the bank officers' lives in the explosion, they let him off the hook for the theft. Finally, all his problems were over. He went to meet Alicia again and saw her fighting with her boyfriend. Kesha listened to their conversation through the wall and understood what kind of boyfriend Alicia wanted. He was now determined to win her heart. The beggar had given him powers for good deeds, but winning a girl over is a good deed too. The next day, he bought Alicia's favorite car, a Porsche, and waited outside with flowers for her to come out. As soon as Alicia arrived, Kesha confessed his love, but Alicia was in a hurry for work and ignored him, getting into his car to go with him. Alicia's boss scolded her for being late, and Kesha witnessed it all. When the boss noticed Kesha, he got scared and kneeled down. Because of Kesha, Alicia got an opportunity to cover an international level news story. She gave Kesha $200 to quickly get her there. Alicia went inside by showing her media pass, but the security stopped Kesha. However, no one could stop him. He used his powers to pass through the wall. Inside, he followed Alicia, who met the Prime Minister of Iceland and got the chance to interview him. She was so excited that she kissed Kesha in her excitement. Kesha couldn't believe his luck and was stunned by the sudden kiss. He began to dream of spending his life with Alicia. But Alicia shattered his dreams in a moment by saying she wasn't interested in him. Heartbroken again, Kesha didn't give up and continued following her. He sneaked into her office, hiding behind a wall, and tried to touch her. He wanted to kiss her secretly, but another man arrived and Kesha missed his chance. Despite everything, Alicia's boss offered her the job of chief editor because in the car, Alicia had mentioned that her dream was for her articles to be read worldwide and to become the chief editor. However, despite all his efforts, Alicia was not impressed and still loved her boyfriend. Poor Kesha's heart broke again. He started spending time with the sick child he had met earlier. He learned that the child's mother was collecting $150,000 to fulfill his dream of going to space. Kesha didn't pay much attention to the child's words and went back to Alicia's room. Alicia and her boyfriend were already asleep. Alicia saw him coming through the wall but thought she was dreaming. Kesha took the opportunity and went through the wall with her. They both jumped onto the roof of a train and spent the entire night having fun, but she still didn't love him. Frustrated, Kesha became a cheap Kabir Singh and directly challenged her boyfriend to a fight, but her boyfriend beat him up badly. Still, he didn't give up following Alicia, looking for a chance to get close to her. He was obsessed with her beauty, but true love requires understanding each other, which Kesha, blinded by his infatuation, didn't realize. One day, while chasing Alicia, he ended up hanging from the glass window of a tall building and confessed his love. He was trying to pressure her into saying yes by proposing in front of many people, but in his heroics, he fell from the window. If not for the powers given by the beggar, Kesha would have died. Seeing him fall, Alicia fainted in fear, and he had to admit her to the hospital. Kesha also got scared that the fall might have loosened some screws in his brain, so he went to the hospital to check his whole system. There, he saw the sick child he used to talk to, who turned out to be a girl suffering from blood cancer. Because of the treatment, all her hair had fallen out. She told him she needed $100,000 for her treatment, but had only collected $50 so far. Hearing her troubles, Kesha realized he should use his powers to save people, not to woo girls. His heart melted, and he donated all his money to the girl. When Alicia found out, she was very happy. For her, it didn't matter if a guy was handsome or rich. What mattered was a good heart. Impressed by Kesha's kindness, she quickly went to meet him. By then, the beggar had taken back Kesha's superpowers because his biggest wish had come true. Now, Alicia loved him. The beggar went on to find someone else from whom he could borrow $20. And with this, the movie ends. Have you ever loved someone truly? Did your love succeed? Do tell us in the comments.